info product agencies that are stacking revenue deals are falsely thinking that they're getting to where they want to go to. But the ones that are getting rich aren't doing revenue sharing, they're doing equity. That's what you should be doing. I'll show you how to do that in this video. First off, I'm Fred Gleek, and I've been doing this kind of deal, this equity system that I've been doing it for about 16 years. It started many years ago, 2009, 2010, when I was holding one of my boot camps at my house in Las Vegas. And a guy showed up who was in the voiceover field. And by the end of that week, he had a choice. He could either go out on his own and do it himself, or he could take me up on the proposition, which was my first time doing an equity deal, was I put together a one-page agreement. I said, look, if you want, we can do this together. He decided to do that, and that completely changed my business and the way that I do business. We're gonna go over in today's video exactly why revenue share doesn't work, what to replace it with instead, which is equity, and a specific path that you can take to pivot from currently doing rev share to doing equity deals. Okay, so now I want to talk to you about why rev sharing is not enough and why you need to look for and pivot to a different model. Don't get me wrong, rev share is better than doing hourly or monthly retainer deals, but it still keeps you on that treadmill of having to go out and retain existing clients and to find new clients when those people drop off. So your goal is to find a way to move slowly and carefully into equity deals. And you might ask why? Well, first off, revenue is volatile. It's kind of like owning a stock, a single stock that goes up and down and up and down, whereas equity is something that once you have it, and it starts here and eventually goes here, and you're not really worried so much about the occasional downturns because you know that long-term you're going in the right direction, which is more dollars and more dollars over more time. Equity ties you to brand value, not just monthly performance, so that the value of the brand that you create through equity gets larger and larger over time. So equity is a preferred way to create and accumulate wealth. Okay, so let's show the progression here. So the progression is from hourly to rev share to the big E, as we call it, equity. So in my case, I've told you the story before with my biggest equity partner, but there have been other situations in which, let me just show you kind of more globally what has happened. So this was my model for many, many years. As a marketing consultant, I was doing this a lot. I started out early on just doing hourly rates because I wasn't confident enough to offer people monthly deals. Eventually then I moved from hourly to doing exclusively monthly options. And at that time, I was doing a $500 a month option. And then I tried to get it, in some cases, depending on who the client was, up to $1,000 a month. So now what happened was, usually I could only really have no more than, say, 6 clients per month, which meant my income was capped at $6,000 monthly. This was back in the 80s and 90s, so that wasn't too bad at the time. Then I started to think to myself, there must be a better way to do this, because I was pretty confident about my abilities and results. So I went to a rev share model. So then I would usually find, or I did find, usually sometimes between 3 to 4 people who would be willing to do a deal like this. And those deals varied, but they were generally anywhere from, say, 10 to 30%. So in some cases, we were generating, say, $10,000 in revenue. So 10K in revenue. Let's say all 4 clients were doing that. We did 40,000 total, and I was getting an average of, say, 20%. So now it was up to $8,000 monthly. And something just still wasn't right, because I thought, number one, if one of these clients leaves, I go back to just as much as I was making as an hourly or monthly guy. So that's when, back in about 2009, someone showed up at one of my events in Vegas, and I suggested doing the equity arrangement. And that is what I've done from that point on. From 2009 onward, all I have done is equity deals. Now, if you're just considering doing these, you certainly don't want to switch wholesale to doing equity deals, because it's going to be a very, very tough move. Instead, take your 10 clients that you have now and fill the blank in with whatever that number is, but let's say it's 10, and take your top 1 or 2 clients and try and transition them to this deal of equity, because you'll still have 8 clients paying you in either a rev share arrangement or hourly or monthly. And then as you do this, as this number starts to grow from these 1 or 2 that you convert, you can then start to convert more and more. And then you'll be getting rid of all of the less than desirable clients and replacing them with only really good clients. And now for me, the only people I want to work with are equity clients because they're the nicest, the best, the easiest to deal with, the least amount of aggravation, as opposed to these, which were a complete royal pain in the ass. Okay, so let me give you a very specific step-by-step method of pivoting from where you're at now to where you want to go. So let's assume that right now you're still doing, and this is fine if you're here, because everybody has to start somewhere, you're currently doing monthly rates. So those monthly rates is where you're currently at. So if you're doing monthly rates right now, the first thing you want to try and pivot to or change to is to move that. And again, let's make it easy. Let's say you have 10 clients, and let's make it easy again. All of them are giving you $1,000 a month. So you're making a gross of 10K monthly. So what you want to do, your first pivot, is to take your top 1 or 2 of these clients, 1 or 2 of them, and move them to a rev share deal. Notice you're still keeping $8,000 per month intact that you have as your regular income. Just because if you get 2 of these folks to agree to a rev share deal, initially, if you say to them, hey, I want to get 20%, that 20% may be lower than $1,000 a month. It may be higher, but you're going to be looking for the best clients that you currently have that you're doing monthly deals with to transition, because hopefully if you can get these 2 rev share clients that you're going to get 20% from to give you this kind of a deal, and they're doing $20,000 a month, your 20% of that will be $40,000. So you're going to have 2 of those. So you're going to have $8,000 coming from those 2 clients. You're going to add that to your $8,000 you currently do, and you're going to get $16,000 per month. So you're going to be moving up right there. Do that first. Don't try and jump all the way from monthly to the big E equity. You're going to do rev share in between. Rev sharing right here. And that's what you're doing with this arrangement here, moving from your current $10,000 a month to $16,000 a month. So now the next step is, let's say you have, and again, we've got 10 total clients. You've got 8 of those doing monthly at $1,000 a month, and you've got 2 that are doing a rev share deal, and those 2 are generating $8,000 a month. So now what you want to try and do is either with 1 or more of these guys, more likely you're going to try and convert those 2 revenue share deals that you're doing into an equity deal. So let's see what those numbers would look like. Let's say you picked 1 of them. So 1 of them, you're going to have your 8 at $1,000 a month, $8,000. You're going to have one of your rev share deals. That's still going to do $4,000 a month. So right now you're at $12,000 a month, but you're going to take this individual over here, the one that remains, and convert them to equity. And that equity deal, let's assume that you're able to do a deal where you get 25%, and let's say you generate 3 months later $50,000. So if you generate $50,000, then a quarter of that is $12,500. So now you're going to add your 8 plus 4 plus $12,500. You're now looking at $16,500, $24,500. So $24,500, 1 equity deal, 1 rev share deal, and 8 monthly clients. You're going to now go from what you used to have here, which was $10,000 a month, to $24,500 a month. A much, much better deal. And once you get there, you can then start to try and convert some of these others into equity deals. The added benefit of working and moving people from rev share to equity is you're working much more with people you really like and enjoy working with. The amount of stress that you have is dramatically reduced because you know you have kind of this automatic income coming in from the others. And also what it gives you is the power to tell one of these 8 that still remains, who's becoming a royal pain in the ass, to go away. You don't want them anymore. You can now fire clients carefully, but you're going to want to either try and convert or fire the 8 remaining. And so you've got a lot of benefits of moving in this direction using this method. I've been doing this for now 16 years. And at some point about 8 or 9 years ago, I remember thinking to myself at the end of the week that I'd only worked like 4 hours. And I was actually embarrassed for the amount of work I was doing and making triple and quadruple the income I made doing it this way back in the monthly rate days. And so not only did my income go way, way up, but amount of time spent working went way, way down, and stress went down as much or more than the amount of time. It's a beautiful thing. So what now? So if you're still stacking revenue share deals or still doing monthly rates, you've got to transition into doing something that is going to start to pay you what you're truly worth. So in order to do that, what I'd like you to do right now is down below this video, just drop the word equity in there, and I will send you a copy of my one-page agreement so you can get this started and start transitioning your business from one that is very, very precarious to one that is solid and going to make you money forever.